Happy Wednesday. Stay tuned and we're going to dig into some great data.
You better get fired up.
All right, guys, happy Wednesday, where we've got the Florida Treasure Coast market update, where we talk about the market here in Port St. Lucie every single Wednesday at 11 o'clock. Today, I want to dig into properties that have sold in the last maybe month or two and look at what the times on market actually are. I've been getting a lot of people that have said, man, I hear it takes 5, 6, 7, 8 months on average to sell a property in Port St. Lucie. Is that true? How does that impact my ability as a buyer to come in? Can I negotiate heavy with people? Or is it not true, right? Our property's selling a little bit faster. So I thought, hey, I don't know. Let's go look into it together and get the actual data from the MLS. So let me share screen here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the MLS, which is the multiple listing service. You should be able to see it now. And this is kind of the hub for everything, right? So as a realtor, when I input a listing, this is where it goes. And then this is the main source that feeds all those IDX websites like Zillow, Trulia, Redfin, Realtor, eXp Realty, all of those, they come through here. So we're going to look at Port St. Lucie, and we're going to look at properties that have sold. And I tell you what, we'll go back. Let's go back roughly 30 days. It's the 1st of October, so we'll go to the 1st of September. And I'm going to look at single-family homes only. So we're not looking at condos, townhouses, modular homes, anything like that. We got 378 sales. You can see geographically, they're pretty dispersed or evenly dispersed throughout the city, right? A lot in the north, south, east, west, center of city, everywhere. And we've got 378. So let me write 378 down just so I've got that to remember. And when we look at these, we're going to look again, these are all sold properties. They all sold. So we're going to come in and we're going to look at cumulative days on market. This second one is a good one, right? It's been on 34 days as a second contract. But in the first contract, it was on for, what would that be, roughly 370-ish days. Then it was taken off and put back on. So, yeah, it's only been on 34 days, but cumulative 407. All right, so you can start to see that stuff. So we're going to look at cumulative days descending. And let's see what we've got here. On the back end, how many do we have that have been on at least a year? 8. 8 out of 38. So that's 2 to 3%. Okay. 365 days or more. Okay. What about 180 days? How many have been on 180 days or more? Right here, you can see it's 51. And we'll do percentages here in just a second. Okay. So now let's look at maybe 90 days. Right here. 130. We're 90 plus days. And then let's come down to 30 days. How many sold in 30 days or less? Right here. So all but, man, let's do this a little bit differently. No, you can do the math, Joe. Come on. Man up here. 378 minus 226 is 152. So we had 152 that were 30 days or less. All right. And then I want to come down and let's find those that were 2 weeks or less. All but 282. So that would be 100 minus 4 is 96. Or 14 days or less. Okay. So now let's do some percentages. 8 divided by 365 is we're going to say 2.2%. 2.2% of sales in the last 30 days in Port St. Lucie, single family home sales, took at least a year to sell. That's a lot. That's pretty wild. 378. Okay. 13.5% took 6 months or more, 180 days. That's interesting. I honestly would have thought that was a little bit higher. 130 divided by 378, 34.4% took 90 days or more. That means 2/3 of properties that sold in Port St. Lucie in the last 30 days, sold in under 90 days, 2/3. All right. It's not the drastic numbers that everybody's talking about. That's really interesting. So 152 divided by 378 is 40.2% sold in 30 days or less. 4 out of 10 sold in a month. That's wild. And 96 divided by 378 is 25.4. That's roughly 1 in 4 properties that's sold in 2 weeks or less. Isn't that interesting? Right? Very interesting. I'm gonna say all these it's 5 pieces of data one more time. 365 days or more, 2.2%. 180 plus days to sell, 13.5%. How many took 90 plus days to sell? That's 3 months, 34.4%, just a hair over a third. How many sold in 30 days or less? 40.2%. And how many sold in 14 days, 2 weeks or less? 25.4%, right? Less than a quarter, or a little bit more than a quarter. That's really interesting. So what that tells me is a couple things. Number one, numbers aren't quite as skewed as a lot of people think. And they think what they think because they read what they read and they watch what they watch, and it's what media puts out. It doesn't really sell to say, hey, I know everybody's talking about how tough the market is, but in certain segments of the market, certain cities, it's not that tough. That doesn't really sell. When you've got ugly stats, painful stats, horrific stats, that sells. And so that's why that's what we hear. And we're all aware of that, right? So I think there's a little bit of that going on. I also think you've got surrounding cities. I've heard a lot, and I'm not professionals. I'm not a professional on these different cities. But when you're looking at Miami, Fort Lauderdale, I haven't heard West Palm Beach. I've heard Tampa. I've heard Fort Myers. I've heard Orlando. Those big cities in Florida have had a much more negatively impactful market, according to brief things that I've read. So that may not be true either. My point in saying that isn't to say that it's true. It's to say that if it's true, that data might be that data might be what's being marketed when we read what we read and watch what we watch. And that's why we think the market is what it is here locally, when it's really not, right? It may be other cities. The third thing I would say is you've got two drastically different homes being sold and sellers selling homes. You've got some homes that are priced where they should be priced. They have sellers who are motivated and think outside of the box on ways to get it sold. They're allowing in every possible showing that they can. They're not hindering showings at all. And they've got a realtor who's a great negotiator and who is doing a ton to market their property. Then you've got those who are overpriced, maybe $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. Their sellers aren't as negotiable. They might think they are, but they're not. They cancel some of the showings. They want to be present at some showings, which that can be really tough to sell when you've got someone breathing down your neck. And for all those reasons, it's challenging to sell that house. It really is. I don't care how good of a realtor you've got. It's challenging. When you've got everything set up, it's so much easier to sell that house. And that's what you want. That's what we as realtors are trying to build, an easy sale. Well, how do you make it easy? You price it right. You stage it perfectly. You get great photos. You market the crap out of it. You make sure that you're a great negotiator. You find sellers who are going to work with reasonable requests. That makes a sale happen. All those other things make a sale really challenging. So when you look at, hey, I saw this home that has been on for 6 months, or this home never sold, or blah, blah, that's probably that second group, because right now the market is not so soft that if you're doing all the right things, pricing your home, marketing it correctly, all those great things, it's not going to sell. It is going to sell. The market is not that weak, especially in the lower price points, which I know I'm not sharing my screen right now, but let me look up the price points. How many of these are 450 and under? I would say locally that's a lower price point. So 450 and under is, oh man, there might be more than I thought. Right here. Okay, minus 154. So that's 224. 224 divided by 378. So 59%, let's just call it 60%. So 6 out of every 10 are 450 and under. That honestly surprises me. I would have guessed that would have been 75, 80%. But what I am seeing is, again, we're talking about the different things that impact this. Two different markets when it comes to price points. When you're looking at, say, 300 to 450, and let's even break it up more. 300 to 375, that market's hot. That is not a buyer's market. If you think that's a buyer's market, you're crazy. And I see a lot of buyers who think that's a buyer's market because they don't separate out the different things like the areas and the prices and the two different types of sellers and everything else. They get beat up. They put in a lot of offers. They don't get them accepted, and they have a really rough experience purchasing. 3 to 375 right now is under 3 months inventory. It is selling. Okay. It's not a crazy strong seller's market, but it leans towards the seller. It just does. Now, when you get maybe that 4 to, and it's tight, maybe 475 price point, maybe 500. Now you're looking at a little bit more neutral market, even leaning into a soft buyer's market. Okay. But it's nothing crazy. It's not where you're going to be able to go in and come in 50 grand under on 10 homes and get 8 of those accepted. Like, that's just not going to happen. All right. You might get a little deal here and there, but again, it's not going to be on the great home, the perfect home, because the great home, the perfect home has a lot of interest. So people will say, well, it's a buyer's market. They've got to work with me. They don't have to do anything, especially when they got multiple offers coming in. Right now, when you look at, say, 550 and up, that market's completely different. In some stratas of that market, I'm seeing 10, 12, 16, 20 plus months of inventory, and it's challenging. And you say, well, which is it? Is it 10 months or is it 20 months? It depends, right? Are you looking at HOA specific or non-HOA? Are we looking at $1 million plus, or are we grouping the whole, say, 550 and up together? Are we looking at HOA only or non-HOA? Are we looking at with a pool or not with a pool? On the water, not on the water? Like, there's different things you can look at that are attracting certain people. But the higher you go on price, typically, and this isn't a now market thing, this is kind of an anytime thing, the market's going to be a little bit tougher the higher price point you go. Now, in 2021, when it was hot, yes, it's still easier to sell a home that's 350 than it is to sell a home that's 800. But selling a home that was 800 was not nearly as challenging as it is now. You had people calling nonstop, showings nonstop, offers nonstop. It happened. Now it's more challenging. It takes more skill. It takes more finesse. It takes more negotiating. It takes more marketing. It takes more prospecting. That's just on the agent. Then with the seller, it takes the right pricing. It takes the right staging. It takes, making sure all your repairs are done and the home is ready to go. Sometimes it takes a little bit of flexibility. And I'm not just talking about price. Maybe I'm talking about your closing date, or the amount of days you'll accept for inspection, or the personal property you're going to leave behind. Maybe you're going to leave your couch behind, whatever it is, right? So there's different stratas of that market that are going to be impacted differently. So again, why do I bring all this up? I bring this up just because I'm a nerd and I like to look into this stuff. I think it's really cool. But I also think if you are a buyer or a seller and you're going to put your property on the market, before you make a decision to buy or to sell, and if you're going to buy, what price range, what area am I in, an HOA, not in an HOA, on the water, not on the water, whatever, talk to a realtor and get some of this data. It will make you so much more confident. It'll help you make better educated decisions. And when you put that offer in, you'll feel very confident knowing if they accept that offer, I'm very good with that offer, versus just going totally off emotion and gut. And now I have seen it. You get a counter, maybe 10 grand more, and you're like, I don't know what I should. There's a lot of emotion, a lot of distress, and a lot of decisions being made that are filled with emotion. The more you educate yourself, the less of that emotion you're going to be bringing into the situation. And you don't want to be making emotional decisions with 6-7 figure properties. You want to be making logical decisions, right? So that's why I do this stuff. If in the future there is an area of the market that you'd like me to dig into, please put it in the comments or put it in a private DM. I'm happy to do it. And if you find value in this, please subscribe. Feel free to share this, and always hit that like button. Thanks for joining me. We'll be here again next Wednesday at 11 o'clock for the Florida Treasure Coast Market Update. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. Take care.